Hey guys, it's Sierra, your host,
Hi, it's Joanna, your co host.
and you're listening to the Color of Home podcast. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Color of Home podcast. We're so happy you're here with us today. We have a very special guest with us, Kaden. Welcome, all the way from Michigan. Hi, we're so
Hi.
happy to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be on.
Welcome, Kaden. We're so glad you're here and that you were able to take time and join us. So, today's episode, we're going to be talking about contentment and just being content where God has you and just the struggles of finding that contentment as TCKs or pastors' kids or where you're placed. Yes.
Good, we're so happy you're here. So, can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and where you're currently living and what life looks like?
Yeah, I grew up in Papua New Guinea, like you guys. I forget what year we moved back. I think it was like 2005. I was about four, I think, when we moved over, and we lived in the Togo tribe for a little bit, and then we moved to the Iski tribe where my parents are working now currently. I was homeschooled for like up until about eighth grade, and then I spent the rest of my like high school in the dorm out in Numuna Christian Academy, which you guys went to. Um,
Yeah.
and then I graduated in 2020 and moved back with my family. Did a little bit of a gap year, and then I did like a really quick semester at Bible school, and then I fell in love and dropped out and
Oh,
became a
I
wife.
love it.
Um,
Oh,
and so now I live in Michigan, like South Michigan, and we've got a kid and just being a housewife, stay-at-home mom, serving the Lord. Yeah, that's where
yeah.
my life is. It's really quick.
Oh, yeah. I know it's
Amazing.
hard to cram all of that into a
Yeah,
tiny little answer, but yeah, what
right.
a very cool story you have. So you mentioned just a little bit ago that you had grown up in Papua New Guinea. That's where you met Joanna and I. I think you were
Yeah,
like I think we were just talking maybe 4 years behind us in school. So we didn't
yeah.
know each other super well, but we saw each other around for sure. So could you just give us a little bit of insight into what life might have looked like for you over in Papua New Guinea?
Yeah, it was honestly, my childhood was so much fun and like I would want that childhood for anybody. It was a lot of like in like my elementary school years, like playing outside, getting muddy and dirty, like
Yes.
having like different fun animals as pets, and just getting to see like my parents and their work in Iski and Tobo. And then in high school, it was just hanging out with friends. Like I, that's not all high school is, obviously, but
Yeah.
um, I lived in the Bittner dorm for a year, and then I lived in the Smith dorm for a year, and then I was in home placement with the Burlesons. So it was really fun. I got to live with like my two best friends, Carrie and Katie.
I didn't
Um,
know that you did that.
yeah, I think I did home placement with them for 2 or 3 years. It's hard to remember,
Did they
but
Okay.
discontinue the dorms or like why home placement? I don't remember. Yeah.
I think they did a boys' dorm the first year of my home placement, and I had really struggled in the dorm like a little bit, and I felt just like more at home with the Burlesons. I was over there all day, every day, anyways, so they were like, "Just come live with us," and I was like,
Oh,
They're the
that's so
"Oh,
best,
sweet.
honestly.
they
Yeah.
are." They were
Because
like,
I was
"Totally."
neighbors to them. I was their next door neighbor. And of course, like Michael and I are best friends. So I was always over. They're just so welcoming. So I'm
They're the
glad that happened for
sweetest.
you.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. I
It
didn't
was
know
really
that they
sweet.
did home placements. Is that like a new thing they started doing?
I'm not sure. I guess it maybe became more of a popular thing the year they did the boys' dorm, because there was also
Yeah.
um another girl who did home placement with the Weatheralls at the same year I was in home placement, but
Okay.
there weren't like a bunch of us in home placement.
Okay. All right. Well, very cool. And then
Yeah.
you went to Numanoy as well. How was your experience at Numanoy?
It was honestly the best. Like seriously the best years of my life. I had so
Hmm.
many friends. I feel like I don't know, like Numanoy, I always hear about like other high schools and how much like drama there is and like there's like mean people, but like Numanoy just felt like a big family and I just
Yeah.
like loved everybody and honestly it was just the best. I was really close with the girls in my class. Um, yeah, it was really sweet. I loved
Yeah,
it.
that's kind of how like Joanna and Melly and I too, like we're all just the bestest of friends and
Yeah.
I think since we all live so close together, like everyone is just kind of family and you're forced to get along with each other because you live with each other pretty
We
Right.
much.
had no
So
choice.
it's
There's
not really an
literally like a
option to
fence
have drama.
keeping you all in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Literally.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
fishbowl.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you said you graduated in 2020, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how was that graduating COVID year? Crazy
Oh
wild
man.
times.
Yeah, that was wild. We had just done our senior like trip right
Mm.
before like the whole COVID shutdown thing. So we got like a lot of like solid time together as a class. And then we got back to Lopilo and they were like, okay, so you're gonna have to graduate really early because the repatriation flight like had to happen. Missionaries had to like get over to the US before everything shut down.
Wow.
So
Right.
we all like there was nobody in the airport and so like it was just like my class all flying back together to America, which was kind of fun and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
also heart-wrenching having to say those goodbyes,
Mm,
but
yeah,
yeah, it was a
absolutely.
little wild.
Was that like scary having to fly during COVID, knowing like that the world was in chaos? Was that frightening for you at all?
Surprisingly, no. I feel like living in PNG, I always just was, I was so disconnected from whatever was happening in the rest of the world. I was like, I can't be touched. I live in Papua New Guinea. Like,
Yeah.
nothing,
Right.
it's gonna hurt me. So I like
Hmm.
didn't care. I was like, as long as I wear a mask, I'll be fine, like on the
Yeah.
plane. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And like when they said worldwide, like I did not think it was gonna reach all the way to Papua New Guinea. And I'm
I
on the
know,
phone with my mom. She's like, nope, Papua New Guinea shut down too. I was like,
I
how in the
know.
world? Like what?
Yeah.
This is wild, but yep, crazy times.
Yeah,
So it's so interesting because your class is the one like that got to graduate early and experience that. And then Sierra's in my class, we were the first class to experience no senior sneak or like any
oh
of that. So
yeah,
like we were like had to figure things out as we went. And I think we like set a trend for like everybody to go Basama or like other places because we were
yeah.
the first class to ever do that. So it's interesting that like major things happen, but like yeah, yours is definitely more scary because it's like the whole world is sick. So yeah.
Yeah. I think we went to Madang as our like senior
Oh,
trip
nice.
and we helped
Yeah.
build like a school there. So I wondered if you
Nice.
guys had done senior sneak or not and but I guess not. I guess you were the class that got
No.
duped.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
the
we got
first
to.
ones to not do senior sneak.
That's so
But for
sad.
Yeah.
everyone who's listening, senior sneak, I don't know if this is a thing in America, but it was a thing over in Papua New Guinea. But like the senior class, like one day just like would be gone and wouldn't show up to school, and everyone would be like, "Where'd they go?" And then you would sneak off as a class to like Cairns, Australia, or wherever you chose to go have fun and hang out. So yeah, that was kind of a fun thing. But yeah, our class was the first one to not do it. I don't remember why. Rules or something like
Yeah.
Yeah,
that. They
it was
wouldn't
the
let us.
rules, girl. Let's be real.
The rules.
Are you kidding
Those
me?
dang rules.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went to where did we go? Busama?
Bosama, yeah. But we
Hmm.
also did a mission trip to Madang too. I don't think Sierra went,
No,
but some
I
of
went on
us
that
went.
one. Leaving me
Did you
out of
go?
here. What? Yes.
What? No way. You
Yeah,
booked
we were
that
all.
house?
Yeah, we were all in the van driving down
Okay.
there.
Maybe I went on two trips to Madang with our class because there was one that was just like I was the only girl. My mom came and we cooked for all the boys. We built a house in
Oh,
Madang and then
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that one, but we all went together to Medang one time.
we did one thing in Madang. I think it was
Wait, hold on. Is Busama? Do you have to go to Medang to get to Busama?
no. It's like no, that's it's like the same road. It's the same road.
Oh,
You drive like
I don't
the,
remember.
what's it called? The crazy road that's so windy.
Highlands
Vanna,
Highway?
Vanna, yeah, Highlands Highway.
The Highlands
Yeah.
Highway. That's not really a highway.
Yeah,
It's like risk your life to go.
right.
I don't know wherever you're
Take a
going,
detour
but
in a pothole and come out
The
the other
biggest
side.
potholes.
yeah, exactly.
My poor butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some bumpy roads, man. And like
Yeah.
the ITF road. Did you ever go up the ITF road, either of you?
The old ITF, right? Like the
Yeah.
one that was, yeah. Yeah, that was
Sure.
rough. Did you
It
Maybe.
live there,
was,
Sierra?
yeah, I lived there. You don't remember that? I lived there. And it was like the muddiest road. And you would be like driving down. And like if it had rained, it would be like your car would just slide and go boof, like into the side. And everyone would fly over to the side. And then you'd be driving there. And just back and
I love
forth.
how like
Like,
we also did wear seatbelts. Like,
yeah, no,
Yeah,
nobody
no
did.
seatbelts. Oh my goodness.
We would like actually ask to ride on top of the Land Rover because it had like that little like it's
yeah.
not like a cage, but you know you could sit up there. So we'd be like sitting
Yeah,
up there and just like banging into the sides of like the dirt road. It was the best ever. It was so much fun.
it
But
was definitely.
anyways, okay, we're getting sidetracked. Crazy stories, but such fun memories. Okay, so we're talking about you graduating, flying back. What were your first thoughts like? I guess on the airplane as you were leaving the country you grew up in behind. What were some of your thoughts going back?
I think I was really excited and less sad because like once you're in the moment, you like don't kind of grasp like what's actually happening and the reality of like, oh, I'm probably never gonna see this country again, or at least not how it was like when I was there. And
Hmm.
plus I had like all my classmates around me, so I didn't have to say any like goodbyes at the airport, which is nice. But
Yeah,
I think I was like, I'm really excited and hopeful and like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be an American. Like, what in the world, you know?
yeah.
So, well, it mixed in
Kind
a
of,
lot of different feelings.
yeah, looking forward to maybe some of the first world amenities. And those
Yeah,
things are always super exciting. And I feel like the grieving of where you grew up and the people you've left behind doesn't really set in until like you're like, oh man, like I am really like never going back, you know, like until
yeah.
you're living in your home country for maybe a couple weeks or so and that kind of sets
Hmm.
in. But
Right.
so you said all your classmates were on the plane with you. Were they all from your home country as well? Or did you have anyone from different countries that you were friends with?
Yeah, well, Phil on Bortesh is from Germany, so he had like, a different flight, so we had to say goodbye to him like a little like earlier on.
Oh,
So they were
yeah.
kind of being picked off one by one. And but I think the oh no, Lorena is
Mm.
from
Oh,
Switzerland.
Lorena, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we were on like the same maybe two or three flights. Um and then like once we got to America, we had to say goodbye to our classmates.
Yeah, that does sound horrible. Everyone
Yeah.
like saying goodbye, but also like what a blessing to be able to have a little bit of extra time with them, as sad as it was, you know. I think that would
Yeah.
be fun flying together. I think I said goodbye to my friends like probably like the day after graduation, because we each have like had different days we were flying out. Where I
Yeah.
think for you, like since it was COVID, y'all have to leave on the same day. But yeah,
Right.
we were kind of like one by one leaving slowly. But
Graduations were always so emotional. It's not like a
yeah,
normal high school graduation. It's like,
right,
okay, like you're basically dying. Like it was like a
yeah,
funeral and it was yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it is absolutely like in America it's something to be celebrated, which it's still exciting that you
Yeah.
graduated, right? But it's you're
Hmm.
literally leaving your whole life, like everything you knew, your friends, like who are your family, like behind. And so there
Yeah.
is like that grieving process in that. That's super sad too. But have you gotten to see any of your friends since graduation?
Yeah, well, so what was fun is like I think maybe a month or two after, or maybe even a couple weeks after, my whole class signed up for this like TCK camp. It was really cool, and it was interesting meeting like other missionary kids, or
Mm,
it wasn't just missionary kids, but it was also
sure.
like other TCKs, and we
Yeah.
all just like clicked so easily because that's just
Hmm.
like who we are as third culture kids.
Yeah.
And you could like there'd be a bunch of kids from like Russia, a bunch of kids from, I think there was a girl from like India. There was like the PNG kids. So there were
Wow.
like different
Yeah.
tables speaking in different languages. And it was
Oh,
just
how
like
crazy.
it was crazy. It was so much fun.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time on this podcast is that like as a TCK, like it doesn't matter what country you're from or how you grew up, but like we're gonna be best friends, right? Like
Yeah.
we just understand each other and
Hmm.
we just get each other. And yeah, the more I think about it, I really think that's a gift from the Lord, honestly, because I think without
For
that,
sure.
we would really be lost. Like if we didn't
Yeah.
have that connection, and
Hmm.
I think that's a cool thing that He's given us. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, do you feel like maybe God has placed you ever in your life somewhere that you didn't want to be?
Yeah, I think definitely like when I came back to America, I had grown up and we had had very few furloughs and we had had hard experiences in each one. So America definitely wasn't like my favorite place. So I was like, I am not going to be an American. I'm not going to like it here. As soon as I can, I'm going to leave and like be a missionary somewhere else. And
Hmm.
obviously that's not the right heart to have, but I was
Hmm.
very, very discontent. And I think God was very merciful and gracious. And I had a really good first year in America.
Do you think meeting your husband kind of helped ease some of that pain and loss of maybe grieving and wanting to be back in New Guinea? Do you think he helped you in any way?
Yeah, he definitely helped a lot because my life as an MK has always been really like moving around and I have never had been anchored in a certain place. And even as like a dorm kid, right? Like during breaks you'd move back to your tribe and then you'd move out afterwards. So you're always packing up your stuff. And I've never had like a lot of like material items just 'cause like I gotta pack light because I'm always gonna move somewhere.
Mm,
But then
yep.
like meeting my husband, like and him having like a house already and just a like a home to come to
Hmm.
and I he just made me feel like I'm at home for the first time ever
Yeah.
and like it was like just a solid anchor. And so I think that really helped. Plus he's also really, really smart and knows a lot about the world and America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I can always come to him like, I don't know how to do this. Like, help me.
Girl.
Oh, that's so
That's
sweet. He was your
amazing.
anchor for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, and today's episode's all about like being content, and kind of figuring out like what that even means. Do you have like a good way of explaining or defining what contentment might be to you?
Um, Definitely to me, I feel like contentment is recognizing that God doesn't make mistakes and that I didn't just like accidentally mess up and wind up where I am,
Hmm.
and it's, I think it's having joy in whatever and wherever God has put you and serving Him despite maybe not being content at all. So,
Yeah, yeah,
That's
no,
so
that's
good.
great.
That's literally it. Like honestly, it's so hard to have contentment, but it's definitely like that
Hmm.
definition is so solid. Like being content like where God has you, and it's so hard,
Yeah,
but like
yeah,
yeah.
it's okay that I'm discontent sometimes, but it's how I
Yeah.
deal with that. And it's like, I'm going to serve God. I'm going to choose to be joyful despite how I'm feeling and know that I'm just as important as, any other person who's put in a different position by God.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's a choice, and I feel like we have to choose it every day.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like that saying, the grass is greener on the other side, right?
For
Where
sure.
you used
Yeah.
to be, oh, that was so much better. Because for me, like I grew up in America, and then I moved to Papua New Guinea. When I was in Papua New
Mm,
Guinea, I was longing to be back in America, and I was just so unhappy. And then it wasn't until like my senior year where I really was like okay with where I was living, and then I was so sad to leave. And then I was back in America, and I was like, oh, if I could just be back in Papua New Guinea. It was just back and forth, back and forth. Like I was
right.
just never
Yeah.
happy. Um, and I think it's just choosing to be, yeah, happy and know that like where God has you is where He wants you, and that He knows what's best. We don't know what's best for ourselves, so He does. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a choice every day just to remind yourself of those things.
Yeah, and like I mean that goes along. I think Sierra, you had a Bible verse that literally we were talking about before we
Hmm.
started this, and it was like Paul or I don't know one of the
Yeah, it was Philippians 4:12.
Philippians. Yeah, where like he was talking about being content and everything. So yeah, that's it's so hard.
Yeah, I was just kind of reading through Philippians, and I came across Philippians 4:12, which says, "I know how to make do with little, and I know how to make do with a lot. In any and all circumstances, I have learned the secret of being content. Whether well fed or hungry, whether in abundance or in need, I am able to do all things through Him who strengthens me." Um, and I feel like for us as missionary kids who grew up in Papua New Guinea, like we could relate to this verse a lot because we know what it's like to have little, and then we know what it's like to see or have a lot on the other side, coming back to our home countries. And maybe not us personally having a lot or little, but just seeing both sides of the extreme as well. And just, yeah, like we can apply that to our lives today, and that we're able to see like the contentment in those people there. Like they don't know any different, right? And there's still some people are just so happy, versus here too. And there's some people who have a lot who aren't happy at all. And just choosing that every day to make the best of your situation. So,
For sure.
yeah.
I feel like I've gotten so comfortable here in America. Like, I never see any bugs. I live in
Mm,
like a temperature controlled house and it's like it's clean. And of course, those are like superficial things, but I look at, the people in Iski who have nothing and like women who are pregnant who are just miserable and can only eat
mm,
like one thing. And I'm like, wow,
yeah.
that it really puts things into perspective. And that's something that not not something that I am better for, but like it is a blessing that God has allowed me to experience that so I can plug that into my own life here and realize like wow, God has given me so much. Like what are the odds that I was born into this family from America and like I'm able to be here and I wasn't born into uh
Mm,
like a tribe in Papua New Guinea,
yeah.
It's just it puts things into perspective a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And like I really liked how earlier you were mentioning like it's okay to also realize that it's okay to be like have those feelings of being discontent because sometimes you're like oh no I gotta be all spiritual and like you don't need to put on a mask, right? You can just be you can go through those feelings. Those are natural feelings to have. So like one thing I just wanted to ask you is there like you might have told us earlier, but like is there specific things that you felt that added to the discontentment of just like being in America? Was there specific things you were like I really miss this or this is causing me to not be satisfied where I'm at? Yeah.
I think one of those things would be definitely be friendships. I'm a person that really needs like close friendships, and making friends in America was very difficult for me, and it's still very difficult for me. Especially like in each stage, like when I was in Bible school for that very short amount of time, it was easy because I had roommates and like a bunch of people, bunch of girls my age, all living like in the same like floor, and so
Yeah.
that was really easy. But like as a stay-at-home mom, like kids are always sick or the weather's nasty or like, you know, there's jobs and like it's hard to um schedule in like friendship dates. And so the closeness doesn't happen as fast as I would love it to be. So I'm always like, man, maybe God doesn't want me here because I'm not having an easy time like making close friends or so I get discontent with where I'm at. But then always having to remind myself like God didn't accident like I didn't accidentally wind up here. Like God has put me here
Yeah.
for a reason, and yeah.
Just
Yeah.
know you're not alone because I definitely
Mhm.
know that, like, I do remember that, like, Sarah and I talking in the past and just being like, struggling to make friends or struggling to, like, find community. And,
Yep.
I just moved a year ago to a new city and it's just so hard. Like,
Mm-hmm.
was very discontent. I wasn't thankful where I was at. And at the same time, it's like with time and prayer, God did kind of like have that bring me that peace of like this is where he has me and I'm seeing like the little blessings come my way slowly but surely. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I was right there with you, and I still am like having a hard time making friends. That's something that I struggle with a lot. But yeah, I kind of had the same feelings you had as well of just coming back to your home country, and um, also I think a little bit of jealousy after being married to my husband, because then I became a mom, and so I didn't have the time to go out and even try to make friends or go out and do something. I was already in a place I didn't like. And then I'm
Yeah.
stuck at home. And my parents were over in Papua New Guinea, so I couldn't even call my mom to go hang out.
Right.
And so I feel like the jealousy on top of that, like I'm jealous that my husband can go to work. I'm jealous he's got friends he can go out and golf with. And I'm stuck here. And then you got all these negative thoughts just piling up on top of each other. So not only am I discontent, I'm now angry and jealous at my husband that he's able to go do these things and I don't. And even if I wanted to, like he would have let me. I just don't have friends to go do them with.
Right.
Um, yeah, and which I feel like that led to depression a little bit. And so it's just a spiral effect, right? And so I think forcing yourself to get out of that headspace as hard as it is, and yeah, it took me a long time. I wouldn't say I've been back in America now for 7, 8 years, and I think this last year is just finally when I'm starting to really like be okay with where I'm at and just let the Lord like lead me where I am instead of like longing to be like just like you said you want to be a missionary. That I was really pushing for my family, for my husband to get into missions. I was like, but this is like just life is so much better. Like you're so much closer with people. Like
Yeah.
we'll be telling people about Jesus and like life is just way better. But it
This
was
is what
all
we should strive
selfish.
for.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
selfish. It was just like what I wanted to feel comfortable in and what I remembered. And I wasn't truly doing it because I really felt that's where God was calling us. And then also for me to push that on my husband wasn't right. So
Yeah.
not letting him lead the way he should be leading.
Right.
Yeah, so I feel like after I gave that all up to the Lord, like this last year has just been such like a breath of fresh air, and I'm finally starting to make friends. It took 7, 8 years. Like I'm just now starting to make friends. So don't be as
Yeah.
stubborn as I am if you're listening to this. Like, just give it to the Lord because where He has you is where He wants you. So yeah, I don't know if you felt any of those same emotions or not, but I definitely struggled with that as well.
Feel like it's like copy paste what I've been dealing with. Just
Mm,
like and my parents don't live here either. So it's like, you know, my son doesn't get to see his grandparents as much. And I think it could bring a lot of bitterness because my parents are also not here. So like my son doesn't get to see his grandparents on like my
mm-hmm,
side as much as he does Colin's parents. So I could be like bitter, like, well, you get to see your family if you
mm-hmm,
lives 5 minutes away. Like
yeah,
and and so that can definitely, I think Satan can use a lot of those things to like put
mm-hmm,
lies in my head, like
mm-hmm,
you don't deserve this, like you deserve better and you should have better. And I start thinking like I know better than God and God made a mistake putting me here. And obviously I think having people speaking truth and reading scripture, like saying no, like God has you right where he
Mm-hmm.
wants you is super helpful for that.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, just like you said, Satan putting those thoughts like in our head and stuff. And not only is he affecting you, but he's now affecting your marriage. Like he's trying to weasel his way in there, right?
Yeah.
And that's yeah, not good at all. So,
Yeah.
and I know my parents weren't gone super long while I had my first baby, but I know how tough that is. So I'm sorry they have to go through that. But there's just something about having your mom there for your first baby, like yeah, I just remember a lot of tears during that time.
Yeah.
Um, but
I was blessed because my mom was able to be here for my son's birth. She was in the room and
oh,
she was
that's
able to help me
good.
through postpartum, which was really, really
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah,
Um, which I definitely don't take that like for granted. And
yeah.
but my pregnancy was actually very, very hard. I
Really?
had something called hyperemesis, and it's like morning sickness on steroids until you give birth. And I
Oh.
No
lost
way.
It was so awful. I lost so much weight. I think I lost 20 pounds in the first
Oh my
couple months because
goodness.
I couldn't eat any food. And then I'd have to like go to the hospital just to get fluids, like go to
Mm,
the ER. And so like my mom wasn't able to be there for that. And I was
mm,
like God has put me in like I feel so
mm-hmm,
alone and I didn't
mm-hmm.
want anybody else to see me like puking my guts out
Mm-hmm.
every 5 minutes. So I
Yeah.
felt very alone and discontent
Mm.
in that. But God is good and
Oh,
they were able to come back for
yeah.
Walker's birth. So
Oh, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. What a traumatic first experience for being pregnant. Oh my goodness.
The
Yeah,
number of
that's
kids I wanted went from like five to like, one at a time.
yeah, maybe
We'll
Yeah.
two.
see.
I don't blame you there. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Yeah. I was actually just talking with a friend the other day. He just recently lost his wife, but he's been
Sorry.
such a testimony because he's still like so strong through this hard trial he's gone through. But anyways, he was just sharing. He's like, because we had asked, like, we were talking about prayer requests and all that, and he's like, I don't know if I should pray for you to have a trial to go through or if I should pray for you not to have one. Because he was just
Yeah.
saying how the hard things and difficult things we go through in life, like God brings us closer to Him through those things. So even though it's difficult and probably miserable in the moment, He's going to use that for His glory and for His good and going to
Yeah.
make you closer to Him through that. So, yeah, I just feel like he knows the sacrifices we're making, giving up our grandparents and our mamas and all of that with our
Yeah.
babies. And he knows, like, he feels our pain. He knows how difficult that is. But as difficult as it is, he's going to use it for his glory and make you stronger through it. So, yeah. Okay. Can you share a moment when you realized God had you exactly where he wanted you to be?
Yeah, I think right when I moved back to the States, you can tell it's a really big year for me because like all of my spiritual growth happened in that year. But um I really didn't want to be in America, but I we were our home church was in Georgia, and so I lived there for a year and I worked, and God put so many people around me for all of my very specific needs, spiritual needs, emotional needs, physical needs. Like I had really bad anxiety attacks when I first moved to the US,
Mm.
and a woman from our church that's really close with my family, like was like, I have the same kind of anxiety attacks, and taught me tools on how to deal with them. And she would sit with me and pray with me, and like that was crazy. Like of all the people that I could have met, and
Mm-hmm.
then I needed to learn how to drive. There was a retired race car driver instructor that went to our church and was really good
Oh,
friends with their family.
wow.
So
That's
he taught me
cool.
how to drift in our
Girl.
minivan and in a parking lot. And like one of my several of my mentors that I call regularly today, I met in Georgia. So just a
Mm.
lot of like deep relationships and physical needs, like God met through those people where in a place where I was at where I was discontent. So like can look back now and know that like God had me there for a reason, and it was a reason to like ultimately bless me and help me. That I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, and yeah, that's perfect. Like that community and just getting plugged in and having those people just surround you. I think for initially, like right when you first move back as well, it's
Hmm.
so important. And
Yeah.
just the influence they had in your life too. That's amazing.
I really love when like people see a need and like step in, as people in the church
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, like this person's struggling or their parents aren't here. And I think that's just
Yeah.
like so amazing, like a good testament of the body of Christ, how like
Mm-hmm.
people just step in and like whether it's like missionary kids needing help or just a neighbor down the road that they know that's in need. And I think that's like really cool just to see that the church that surrounded was surrounding you with different people.
Hmm.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, the body of
Yeah.
Christ is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we always give non TCKs a hard time about not understanding us, but
Hmm.
it's true. There are those people in the church that just see you and see that you're hurting and know that maybe your family's not here and they just step in and fill that, um, not that role, but they just see that you're
Yeah,
in need and they help you. So I know we give everyone a hard time, but we are super grateful for when
yeah,
people are able to do that for us.
for
Yeah,
sure.
it's very much appreciated. Um, Okay, what would you say to someone who is struggling maybe with where they're at, the situation they're in, or where God has them? Do you have any words of encouragement for someone who's going through that?
Um, I would say first to spend time in prayer about the specific um area of discontentment. And I would also say to focus on who God is. I know it doesn't like seem to correlate like directly, but I noticed that when I'm reading scripture about like just the awesomeness and power of God, I'm filled with this like immense unearthly peace. And
Mm,
I'm shifting my gaze from my own life to who God is. And
mhm.
that turns into like a healthy fear of God. And then the healthy fear turns into obedience. And if I'm joyfully obedient to Him, that can look like, doing the dishes today. And that could like changing like the sixth diaper in a row. And like that, it can be all these little things. But like if you're focusing on who God is, that is like the biggest medicine for discontentment, I feel like.
Yeah. No, that's so good because I was actually listening. I was telling Joanne I was listening to a sermon by Alistair Begg. I don't know if you've heard of him or not,
I'm
but
familiar, yeah.
um, yeah, he was just saying to like reminding yourself of who God is and that He knows me and He made me and He loves me. And I think when we remind ourselves of those things, like just exactly how you said it, like, yeah, you just remember that He has you where He wants you and He does love you and He did make you and He's in control, not us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was perfect.
Also, something I want to add is just like again, like what we had already talked about, like it's okay to feel discontent. Like you shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
beat yourself up for it. Like some of these things, most of these things are valid. Like it's hard
Mm-hmm.
to completely leave the country that you grew up in. Like that's okay. And it's okay to be upset about. It's okay to cry. I think and God wants you to run to Him in those. You can complain to God. You could be mad at God. You could
Yeah.
say, God, I don't know why you're doing this. Like even Job in all his perfectness, like
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
he was suffering. I mean, like not to the extent like I suffered when I went to the US, obviously, but
Yeah.
like he was suffering and he was like, why, God? Like, why are you doing
Mm-hmm.
this to me? And then God continued to remind him who he was. And
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was really important. And it's good not to like,
Mhm.
it's good to validate why you might be discontent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm And it's okay to sit in that discontentment. Like, like I know sometimes it's like, oh, I'm praying to God to just like answer just basically just fix it with the snap of a finger. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like sometimes
Yeah.
God may have you in that season of like struggling to fit in or struggling to find that peace. And then like all of a sudden like all these people come your way and it like could be like I struggled for a whole year and I had no friends, I had no community, and I was depressed, like struggling with all these things. But then it's like, yeah, God will take you out of that season, but then you can look back and be like, oh my word, like I'm so much stronger in my walk with God and my faith
Mm-hmm.
now that I had gone through these struggles. Like Sierra mentioned, like your friend at church who, is going through all these things, and he was like, God made him stronger through the loss of his wife and through the struggles that they went through. And so, yeah, so it's definitely okay to be in that season, and then just knowing that when you're praying about it, that it doesn't necessarily mean that like God's just gonna like take you right out of there. Like it's also just knowing that, like in God's timing, and like He is working even though we can't see it. So,
Yeah.
no, I really like your
And
guys' point.
and God gave us like emotions, right? Like He made us human. He made us with feelings. And so I don't think that it's wrong to feel sad or upset or
Cry your
angry or
eyes
cry.
out.
Like yeah, like
Yeah.
God gave you those emotions and it's okay to
Yeah.
feel things. I think like maybe when it's wrong is to like continue to be stuck in that and not working your way to get out of that. I think that's when it can be unhealthy, but it's definitely not wrong to have any of those feelings whatsoever because God made you human and He made you with feelings. So Jesus
Yeah.
Himself had feelings.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Is there some steps that you think that like you've taken or you would encourage people to take to kind of like, I think you did mention like, going through the word and like who God is and like who He is, but like, is there like just also like not that that's not practical, but like,
Yeah.
something like action wise that like people who are listening may just be like, oh, I should go join this group or do this mom thing with like the tots or whatever. Like is there things you found that helped you?
Yeah, I think definitely seeking out mentorship from older, wiser Christian women in your church or in someone else's church, even. Like, I think that's so important because my mentor, Barb, I love her. I was having a really hard time with contentment, and I was like, I'm depressed. I'm really unhappy with my life. And she's like, have you asked how Colin's doing? I was like,
Mm,
she's like, have you reached out to any of your friends and asked how they're doing? And I was like,
Mm.
and she's like, yes, your feelings are valid, but like God wants you to serve others and reach out to others. And when you do that,
Mhm.
you're going to feel this like immense happiness and joy. And so I did exactly what she did. I had a list of people and I was like, I'm going to ask how each of these people are doing and try to
Oh,
find a way to serve them. And I called Barbara. I was like, it worked. I feel so much better.
Amazing.
Like, so like your
oh,
mentors could tell you some hard stuff and they love
yeah.
you. And like, that's so helpful, especially transitioning to America and like being alone and having someone who can come alongside you and mentor you. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, that's
amazing.
so
I love
good.
that you said
Yeah.
mentorship, because it's so scary to go ask somebody, be like, hey, could you mentor
Mm-hmm.
me? Yeah, I remember mentorship literally got me through my first year also. Um, yeah, I remember I had this lady in Bible school. I think the church that we all went to, they basically encouraged us to get mentors. And like this lady, she just like stepped in, like we went out for coffee. She let me drive her car to get my license. Like I'm just like all these people that just
Oh.
like, and just like also she was like, I think she used to be like a pastor's wife and stuff. Like her husband had passed away. So it was just so encouraging, just like having somebody there, like you said, that like walked with you in that your spiritual journey, encouraged you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that mentorship for sure.
That's
Or
great advice. So we have kind of asked almost everyone on the podcast. I feel like almost everyone. Do you have a funny story you could share with us about maybe transitioning back to your home country? Funny, I mean, like not knowing first world culture. Do you have a funny story like if that makes
yes.
sense?
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. I'm gonna die. I so I was trying to get my first job. I was like walking around downtown Woodstock, Georgia, with like my pile of like resumes. I was like handing out to people, and
Yes.
I like go to cross the street and there's a crosswalk and then there's just street and I jaywalk. I like but I had no idea what jaywalking was. Zero clue. And there was a police officer standing right there and he's like, you're jaywalking. And I was like, I had no
Girl.
and I ran
You're
away
like,
from
wait,
him.
what?
I
You
ran
ran
away from
away
the
from him?
police officer because I had no idea what he was telling me. And
Did he chase you?
I no, I think he just was like, she's an idiot. Like so I
Oh
go
my gosh,
home.
that's so
I go
funny.
home, I almost got arrested. And she's like, for what? And I'm like, what's jaywalking? Oh my word.
Oh, that is too funny. I love that story. That's
Yeah.
a good one. That's probably one of my
Yeah.
favorites I've heard so far.
Yeah, that's
So,
what we
I have a lot. I feel like you just have to fully embrace that you're gonna
mm-hmm.
do dumb stuff. So much like anxiety going on crosswalks or like being out in public and like nobody look at me. Like I probably still don't know what I'm doing and I've been here for
Yeah.
5 years. Like
Mm-hmm.
thank goodness I
Yeah.
have my husband who can just tell me what to do all the time.
Yes,
I
thank
blindly
goodness for
listen to
those
him.
husbands.
I have something I have to show you guys.
Okay.
Guys, I found Popo. I've been looking all over in Canada. Papaya, Popo.
Like good popo
Like, what?
No
or
yet,
like
but I will show
airplane
you it.
food.
I went to this like Asian like supermarket and like paid like $8 for it. But you know what? I'm
A
excited to cut
sacrifice.
it, but like I will show you. I have to just show you guys. This is this. I'm so proud of this
Unboxing.
popo. Y'all,
Oh,
Oh.
that's
this is the
impressive.
size that we normally get in Papua New Guinea, and normally in Canada, I do not see this. They're always green and really
Yeah.
disgusting. Yeah, that's just a culture thing. I was like, yo, I gotta show them. I got a papaya.
Mm-hmm.
I wish
Yeah.
there were more like impressive PNG foods because like PNG is not known for its like good cuisine.
Yeah.
I
It's
remember
really
like
not.
Colin
No.
was like, "What do they eat there?" And I was like, "Let me make you a traditional dish." So I got rice and Maggie noodles. I know
And
I should think it was
tuna.
Maggie and tuna and cow
Yes.
cow. And I just like put it all in a bowl and I was like, "There you go." And he's like, "Seasoning." I
Yeah.
was like,
You're
"What
like, what?
seasoning?" Here you go. Yeah, and you have to eat it in the dark because
Yes.
that's the only way we did.
You can't see what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
That's
was way too
funny.
nice about it.
My
Yeah.
word, there is no spice. It's just salt and pepper. Not
Nope.
even pepper.
Yeah,
It's just salt,
Yeah.
maybe.
yeah, and
The islands have more variety than the Sepik. The Sepik was just sack like that. That
That's what
nasty.
icky was.
Oh my gosh, you guys,
What
now
is
we have to explain what sack is.
Oh, sack is it is
Yeah,
the
we're all
inside of a
gagging.
tree, and they like chop it up into like powder, and it's like chewy bread. It's like a starchy, it's like pulp of a tree,
It's
and
like
they
goop.
can, yeah, and you can like make it into like a flour, and then you can like fry it, or
That's
you can make
better that
soup
way.
sack. So awful. It's like
Yeah, it's
I,
the worst.
it's like not hot but not cold. It's like lukewarm, and it's slimy, and like
And
you
you
can't
like
just have a
try to
bite of
swallow it,
it.
and you're like,
I know.
It's on Google. I was like, yo,
oh
they
my
gotta
gosh.
have a picture.
Yes. Does it have a
Perfect.
description?
Yeah, these small rectangular shaped dumplings come from the coastal region of Papua New Guinea. They are made with sago, sometimes substituted with cassava and mashed banana, and the combination is wrapped in banana leaves and boiled in coconut milk. Girl, they're making this
Yeah.
sound way yummier.
Yeah.
No,
It's like, no.
that's
So
fancy people
I
sack.
watched the process of them. Yeah, it's like a big goopy ball of
Yes.
hot nastiness. Sorry for anybody who likes okay? It's just not my thing. But when they fry it in the patty, like they make a little patty with the coconut shavings, fry it. That's not too bad because at least some's fried. The middle's still like goopy, so you still gotta get that part down. But yeah, so they like take like their little hammer thingy and then
Yeah,
get
it's
the
like a, and they just chop it all.
Wow.
a little saw thing, and they get all the shavings, and then they boil that, and then they take the water and strain it through like this cloth, and then they take that water or the starch. They get the starch out of it that comes out of the tree, boiled starch, and it turns into like that goopy ball
Yeah,
stuff.
a
See, it
staple.
tasted like swamp water because they would just like use the swamp water or the
Oh,
river water. So
yeah,
Oh, that's
no way,
lovely.
but
that's
I'm telling you,
You got that
that's
spicy
funny.
sack.
it
Spicy.
was spicy.
Oh
That's funny.
man.
They have many other foods that are delicious, but I don't know, is one of
Yeah,
them.
it's an acquired taste for sure.
And texture.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Kaden, thanks so much for joining us today. It was just so much fun talking and hearing a little bit about your story and just the encouragement you have for everyone who's going through struggles with finding contentment. So, yeah, we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on the podcast and just join with us. So, we appreciate that.
All right, thank you so much, Kaden. Like Sierra said, we really appreciated that you came and shared your heart to our audience and us, and it was very encouraging.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys like putting together this podcast. It was really like the first time I listened to it, I cried because I don't have anybody around to talk about like Papua New Guinea, and
Yeah.
it just felt like I don't know, listening to old friends talk about happy memories, and so I was like
Mm-hmm.
really
It was
appreciate it.
so
Yeah.
encouraging just hearing
Oh,
feedback
yeah, it
too.
is.
Because Sierra's and my prayer was always just that like we would just reach one person and encourage one person. Like we're not here for like all the views or for the, like the fame or anything like that. That's not our desire. It's like definitely just to reach those that struggled like us and like that
Yeah.
we felt like we were so alone. So we're so happy that like you reached out. Yeah, so for anybody who's listening, you can listen to our podcast. We have a podcast drop every Wednesday. You could follow us on Instagram, The Color of Home Podcast, and also send us an email. We'd love to get feedback from you guys. So send us an email at thecolorofhomepodcast@gmail.com. And we're on YouTube and TikTok, basically all social media. So yeah, thank you.